Greetings, witches. This is a special night, Halloween Eve. It's called All Hallows Eve. Yes, we are all ready to share our new year starting tomorrow. So I wanted to come on and wish you a happy new year to all my witches out there. I had the occasion to go to the Historicville Witches Ball on Sunday, and the costumes the witches wears were unbelievable. I've never seen such beautiful custom made witches outfits. Oh, it was absolutely breathtaking. I can't imagine what the cost was to make one of those costumes, but we had male witches and we had female witches, and there were all kinds of contests going on. People who weren't even really witches were dressed up as witches and came to join the fun. It was awesome. Um, Unfortunately, every time we witches hold an event, okay, you have the people who oppose us. And I went and I parked my car across the street in the parking lot. And as I'm walking on the crosswalk to get to the other side, there were people with signs and Jesus is the way, you're damned to go to hell, repent. And I mean, it was just such BS. I mean, I'm sorry, but something I have to say about witches, and I truly believe this: we accept other people's fates. You know, we don't judge. And it would be nice if other people could offer that in kind. You know, trying to rain on our parade, which they really didn't, because they were gone in no time because no one was paying attention to them. They didn't get the attention that they wanted and they packed up and left. Oh, well, you know, let that be a lesson. But no one paid attention to it. People just loved the day. The weather was beautiful, unlike today. Oh my goodness. I don't know where you're from, but I'm from South Jersey. And we had torrential rain to the point where I literally stepped in puddles all the way up to my calf. Okay. And probably ruined my shoes. I have to check. Um, but yeah, the weather here today was terrible. I understand tomorrow won't be much nicer. Thank you. Unfortunately. So I know that in the towns surrounding us, especially Tom's River in New Jersey, they hold a really beautiful parade for Halloween. And it's awesome for the kids as well. So I believe that they canceled it and it will be on Monday. Look into that if you're from the area. Check out to be sure. Um, the weather just is not participating, unfortunately, But I hope that even though you're not able to maybe go out and celebrate if the weather's bad, uh, that you take time to celebrate where you are, you know. Um, Talk to other witches, wish them Happy New Year, you know. Um, get up on all the gossip that's going on in town. you know, what can I say? We're women. Yeah, and enjoy yourselves and remember who you are and be proud of who you are. Don't let anyone look down on you or, you know, say things like you're going to hell. well, maybe you're going there, keep it up. I'm in pretty good hands where I'm at right now. Um, Believe in yourself. For those who are new witches, young witches, it can be a difficult time. Some of you are coming out, some of you are not ready to come out, and that's okay. That's okay. You can still do your witchy stuff, on your own in secret. There are a lot of ways you can do these things. If you want any tips, just reach out to me, Athena the Witch 13. My email, basically, I couldn't get Athena the Witch email. Someone had it. So my email is capital KIRSCHANGELINA, the number 2, at gmail.com. So that's Kirsch Angelina, number 2, at gmail.com. And I will answer your questions if you have any. Yeah, send any questions you have my way. And what happened here? Where did I go? I hit something again. I'm terrible with this, you know. I really am. I think I have to. Yeah, here we're back again. I hit something with my elbow. Yeah, but the thing is, enjoy the day. Enjoy your new year. Get together with other witches. Um, Chat online. Go online, find some other witches, and you know, share what you do and learn from what they do. And it's really a nice thing. I would like to have other witches join me and have a discussion on where they are in their practice. What do they like to do? What do they not like to do? Or, there's so many different kinds of witches. Okay. And that's the beauty of it, really. There are hedge witches, kitchen witches, some that are in covens of 13, some that are solitary witches like myself. And I think sometimes, when you're a solitary witch, you really need to get in contact with other witches to share, your practice and what you do and learn. Oh my goodness, we can impart all our knowledge to each other and learn from each other. And what a great way to grow in your belief of a witch. Okay. My thing is, I'm very out with it. I tell people, yeah, I'm a witch, and sometimes I get a look like, oh, okay, and then sometimes I go, really? That's terrible. What's so terrible about it? Well, witches do evil things. You know, they fly on brooms. They eat little children. They do sacrifices. You know? And all I can do is laugh. I can't stop laughing. I go, no, that's all Hollywood stuff. Nah, we don't do that. No, instead, I said, we really help in our community. We're do gooders, really. I mean, I guess you'll have some witches that are more to the dark side, you know, that's them. But most of the witches that I know are really do gooders, They do spells to help people when they're requested to. They join in their community. Sometimes they'll adopt, roadways to make sure that, that area is clean, and they'll pick up the garbage, Um, Sometimes they'll help in other community affairs like flea markets and things like that, which are very big, really, especially this time of year. The crafts are out there, and a lot of the witches will help set up, tables and chairs for those who are going to participate. Um, and they just do fundraisers. They'll bake and they'll sell what they make out of it and contribute it to some organization in town. Maybe the high school football team or the basketball team, whatever. They help in their community. And I don't think that's out there. I don't think people know that a lot. And that's a shame, because we do good deeds all the time. And you would be surprised at who you know as a witch. You probably don't even know that maybe your doctor's a witch, or your nurse is a witch, or your police officer's a witch. Yeah. Or maybe the mayor of your town's a witch. Oh my goodness, right? Well, yeah, I love to get away with this. Um, I love when I was in Salem, okay, and I see these police officers on their bicycles, and they have these patches of the police department on their shirt, and has them with the witch flying on a broom. I love it. I just love it. So, yeah, you know, witches come in all kinds of professions, you know, and I'm very much about getting the word witch out there to have it accepted more and understood more by people. I worked with a very sweet lady who, she's a nurse, and when she found out that I was a witch, she says, "Oh my God, really? You?" I go, "Yeah, me." So she goes, "Why?" I said, "Why not?" you know. Um, so we got into. She's very Catholic, and I said, "Well, I was raised Catholic. I went through Catholic school. I did my communion, my confirmation." I said, and I was a believer, okay, as a child, okay. So much so that my mother thought I was going to become a nun later on. But as I grew older, I started, questioning things that I was taught. And I realized that no one wanted to give me an answer. And instead, I was being passed by and not paid attention to. And I thought, this is weird. Why is this happening? And then all of a sudden, I've become known as a troublemaker because I'm asking questions for which they had no answer or didn't want to answer. So I guess you could say I kept the bathwater and threw out. No, I kept the baby and threw out the bathwater, so to speak. Okay. Meaning I kept God, and all of the rest of the teachings of the church I did away with. And I'm not Wiccan because Wiccan is a religion, and I have nothing against that, but I don't do well with organized religion. I just don't care for it. I'm a free spirit, and I've always been a free spirit. And I think that as long as you're a good person, as long as you do nice things for other people, that you don't intentionally want to harm other people, okay, you're good, you know. Um, I'm more spiritual than anything else. And for me, God is not Jesus Christ on a prayer card. Because I don't believe that, well, I don't believe in the Trinity. I believe that there is one God. Now, you may call it the universal energy, supreme being. I call it God. And for me, God is androgynous, God is female, male. And I think if you really think about it, um, we ourselves, sometimes we feel more feminine on some days, and sometimes we feel more masculine on certain days. Why? Because we are a part of the spirit God. Um, and this here, when they talk about hell, I laugh, okay? Because if you want to know hell, you're living in it right now, okay? This is the hard school of Knox. This is where you learned, and it's not through the easy times that you have that you learn, it's through the challenging times that you learn who you really are, okay? And it helps your soul grow, okay? So this time that we're here on earth is just a learning period. That's all it is. We're not from here, okay? And when our time is over, we go home. Now you may say, well, where's home? I don't know where home is. It's someplace, but it's not here, okay? And I think I know for myself that I have had sometimes certain visions of what home looks like. Um, am I psychic? We're all psychic, really. It's just that some people pay more attention to it than others. We all came into this world being psychic because we all came from a past life for the most part. I know I've been here many times, uh, and for whatever reason, I chose to come back many times. Um, and I remember a friend of mine who is no longer of this earthly plane. He's a medium and a psychic. And we were having this discussion in Salem, and he said, well, you chose your parents. Excuse me? I chose my parents? What was I, drunk? And he said, no, really, you chose your parents. I said, why would I have done that? He goes, because you needed to learn from them and they needed to learn from you. And you guys had things that needed to be worked out. And that's how your soul grows. And I'm like, interesting. Okay. Am I going to come back again with the same people? He says, it's a possibility. He says, but your mother may not be your mother, maybe your father, or maybe your sister, or maybe your brother. So it changes. So you're telling me that I've been here before with the same people? He goes, that's usually what happens. He says, you stay in your family. You kind of rotate the roles. Okay. All right, I guess. So he says, isn't it a wonderful thing that we come back and we don't even remember why we're here? I said, well, I like the way you put that. You know, I don't know. I said, sometimes I get glimpses of certain places that I know, and I've never in this life been there before. Or this feeling of deja vu, like I lived this specific moment before. Weird, huh? But yeah. And supposedly I'm an old soul. Okay. So we get to choose whether we want to come back or not. Because every time we come back, we're perfectioning our soul. Okay. We're growing our soul. Okay. And there are some people who in the afterlife were people who lived before on earth and now are guides for those who transition from this life to home. My understanding is that when we pass, we have two bodies. We have a physical, the one you see right now, and then we have the soul body. So when we pass, the soul body goes home, and on its way home, it's never alone. It's met by deceased loved ones, friends who have passed on, and they get to do so many things in the afterlife. There is a brief time of discerning, how your life was here on earth. You're going to see all the things that you did good. You're going to see all the things that you didn't do so good. You're going to hear all the things that you said. You're going to know all the things that you thought. And all this is to help you grow. Learn how to mend the things that you didn't do well with, and each time you decide to come back, there's more growth that needs to be done. So I think it's a very interesting thing that we go through. I know that I read a lot of near-death experiences about people's journey, and it's amazing what they tell you. For example, one lady was in a field and she says the colors of the flowers, she says there are no words to describe how beautiful those colors are. The words don't exist. The scenery is so peaceful and so loving, and there's no judgment. Okay. Isn't that wonderful? Not to be judged, because we get judged here all the time. But to be in a place of pure love. And most people don't want to come back from the near-death experience because they found peace. They found love. They're like, why would I want to come back here? But they have a choice. Or also they're told that your time isn't up yet. You need to go back and you need to do X, Y, and Z. Okay? So there are reasons why they come back. And usually when they come back, they have such a change and an appreciation for life here because they saw what was over there in the afterlife. And they're like, I was sent here for a purpose. Maybe that purpose is to tell people, don't be afraid of death. Okay? For death is just a long sleep. We're different in the United States where a lot of people fear death, and in a lot of other countries, death is celebrated like another passage of life. But for us, we think, oh, that's the end. And I felt very bad because my father thought once you die, that's it. You go in the ground, you're dead. That's it. There's nothing afterwards. And I used to say, no, Dad, no. And the strangest thing is that when he died, I was we moved in with my father because my mother had passed and my father wasn't doing so well on his own. Him and my mother were joined at the hip. And when he passed 6 months after, and I believe he passed from a broken heart. I really do. And I also believe my mother was calling him. So I didn't get all his clothes out of his dresser drawers and closets. Um, it was too soon for me to do that. So one day, I'm in the bedroom and I see his t-shirt on the floor. All right, so I pick it up, I fold it, and I put it back in the drawer. Another day, I see his underwear and socks. Okay, pick it up, put it away. Another day comes by, and now he has his shirts on the floor. So I call my son and I said, Michael, stop going into Grandpa's dresser. And he looked at me and he said, Mommy, I didn't do that. And I looked at him and I thought, he's too short. He couldn't get up there and do all that. So I'm like, okay, are you playing tricks on me, Dad? With that evening, I go in the bedroom to get something, and this scent of Fabergé cologne, which is what my father used, permeated the bedroom. And I was like, well, I'll be. And you were the one who said you didn't believe in an afterlife. Mm-hmm. Now you believe? Okay. When he passed, I was expecting my second child. I was 7 months pregnant. It was the coldest day in February. He had not been feeling well. He had asthma, and he wouldn't go to the doctor because my father was a Gemini, very stubborn. And so 2 friends of his came over to take him to the hospital. And he looked very gray in the face. He didn't look good at all. Well, they told me that one of them went outside and hailed a cab and came back inside, and the 2 of them took my father from the vestibule out to the cab, and that cold hit him and he fainted. They put him in the cab. They got him to the hospital, the emergency room. They worked on him for a half an hour and they could not revive him. So here I am, tired. I'm laying in bed. And from my bedroom, I could see the entrance door to the hallway. And I had chains on the door, 2 of them. And I hear someone put a key in the door and opens the door, but not fully because of the chains. And I see my father standing there and the light in back of him from the hallway. And I'm looking, I'm going, what are you doing here? He says, what do you mean, what am I doing here? I live here. I said, you're dead. Get out of here. He says, come on, open the door. I go, no, you're dead. With that, I slide down from the bed onto the floor, grab the phone, and call my husband. I said, you got to get home ASAP. And he goes, what's wrong? I said, my father wants to come in. He goes, your father's dead. I know that. You know that. Apparently, he doesn't know that. So he goes, and you're losing it. I said, no, I'm serious. So my husband comes, and the door was locked. He puts the key in, opens the door, and the chains are on the door. So he says, Ange, let me in. Get the chains off the door. I go, how do I know it's you? Maybe you're my father. Maybe you're someone else. How do I know? He goes, will you stop? He said, will you open the stupid door? And I'm like, okay. So I I take the chains off the door. And he looks at me and he's shaking his head. He goes, "What has gotten into you?" I said, "You don't believe that my father was here, that he wanted to come in." And he says, "You're pregnant. You're 7 months pregnant. This is a very difficult time for you. Your father just passed. You and him were very close." He said, "Your mind is playing tricks on you." No, 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 no. My mind's not playing tricks on me. So some months go by, and now my husband, we're still in my father's apartment. He took it over. My husband enters the vestibule, rings for the elevator. Elevator doors open up. Who does he see stepping out of the elevator? My father and a friend. And my husband looks at my father and goes, "What are you doing here? You're dead." And my father goes, "Are you crazy?" He said, "I was on vacation." My husband goes, "Oh, yeah, okay." And he was with someone that we hadn't seen for a while, and we wondered what happened to him. Nobody knew. So I guess he passed too, because they were together. So my husband doesn't say anything to me. That night, we're having dinner, and he says, "Call your cousin and find out if they have an apartment available where she lives." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Well, with the baby coming," he says, "we're going to need more room." Okay. So my cousin said, "Yeah, the daughter of the owner, she's moving out, and the apartment on the 6th floor is available." So she says, "Come over, I'll introduce you to her." So long story short, we got the apartment. We finally settled in the apartment, and finally my husband opens up and he says, "You know why we're here, right?" And I said, "Yeah, because we needed more room with the baby coming." He goes, "Yeah, that's what I told you." He said, "But there's something else." I said, "What?" And he goes, "The day I told you to call your cousin and see if there was an available apartment," he said, "that afternoon, I saw your father come out of the elevator with Joe." I was like, "You gotta be kidding. You mean you who don't believe in any of that stuff?" He goes, "No, I'm serious." He said, "It was your father." And I said to him, "What are you doing here? You're dead." And he said, "I was on vacation. What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Wow. So now you believe me?" He goes, "Yeah. Yeah. Oh." And he was with Joe. He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well," I said, "we all wondered what happened to him. Nobody saw him for quite some time. So I guess they're together." So things like that, show us that death is not the end. It's just a transformation into another life, if you will. So keep that in mind. What's sad about death is that you're not going to see the person that you love physically. You won't be able to hold that person anymore or hug that person. And I go through this every day, grieving the loss of my husband, who I love dearly. And, but I talk to my husband all the time. And I know he hears me because I can see him laughing at some of the things I say. Um, so, and I know that I was with him before. I don't know how many times I was with him before, but I know that I was, because the time that we met, the first time that we met, our eyes knew each other. Someone asked me, "Well, how did you know?" And I said, it was like an old friend that you haven't seen in a long time that now appears, and you're just so happy that you found each other again. I said, that's what it felt like. And to know that we had a lot of the same interests. He's a history buff, so am I. He's American Revolutionary War. I'm Civil War. I did reenactment. Um, he's a professional photographer. I love to take photos. I'm nowhere near what he is, but that was my hobby, taking photos. And so I introduced him into taking photos of flowers and also bald eagles and hawks and owls. And so, you know, that was something new to him. He used to do a lot of weddings before he got diabetes and his eyesight was a little off. And that was the time before the digital camera. So now with digital, how can you take a bad picture, really? Um, but yeah, so, and I like to read. He likes to read. We would go on the weekend, Saturday or Sunday, whatever, and go to Barnes and Noble, and he'd go to the magazine department and get his photo magazines, and I go into the occult section and get what I wanted to read. And if we liked it, what we were reading, we would purchase it and bring it home. And so we had that in common. We love nature. Okay. I mean, beautiful pictures of sunsets that we would take along the beach. Because we live probably about 14 miles from Long Island Beach, LBI. And so there were mornings where he would say the night before, why don't we get up and go to the beach before sunrise and capture the sun rising? And I went, okay, you know. Um, so we had that in common. Um, he was a church going person. He really believed how he grew up, and he grew up Presbyterian. And at some point in his first marriage, he became Catholic because his first wife was Catholic, and they didn't want the kids to get confused about religion. Um, but then when he got divorced, he went back to being Presbyterian. And I wanted to support him, so I would go to church with him. Now, the people at church are lovely. The pastor's very nice, but it's not my thing. To me, my God is everywhere, and in everywhere and everything. Okay. So I don't need to sit in a church, especially when I was Catholic, sitting in a church and looking at the sacristy or seeing where, the Eucharist was. That doesn't resonate with me. To me, God is everywhere. Um, so I would go to church with him to support him. Like I said, they're very nice people. I have nothing bad to say about them. I just don't believe what they believe. Okay. Like I said, I think Jesus Christ was a great prophet. I don't think he was the Son of God. I don't believe in the virgin birth. Okay. So a lot of stuff I don't believe in. I believe we have one God, like I said, and it's a spirit. It's not a human being in form. Okay. Um, and that spirit makes this wonderful world. When I say wonderful world, I am in awe of the wheel of the seasons. And that's something that I take from Wicca, I do take quite a few things from Wicca because I think that it makes sense, and whatever resonates with me, I'll take from any different religion. Because when you really think about it, all religions are looking for something to believe in, okay? Unfortunately, man has changed everything. When you look at Christianity, why are there so many different Bibles out there? Why are there so many different Christian denominations out there? Because it's all man made. God didn't come down from wherever God is and wrote a book, the Bible. Okay? That didn't happen. Man wrote the Bible. I mean, just look at the gospel. 4 different apostles, and they can't get it all together because some of them weren't even around when Jesus was alive. Okay? But yet they're telling these stories. You got to believe them. Okay? No. So, and I know that a lot of people who have left the church didn't leave the church because they didn't believe in Christ, left the church because of St. Paul, because St. Paul distorted a lot of Christ's teachings. And like I said, I believe Christ was a wonderful prophet. Okay? I have nothing against Christ. But to me, organized religion is not for me. And for those who it is, wonderful. God bless you. Okay? We all need to believe in something. Okay? And whatever gets you through the day, I guess if it's organized religion, then that's what's helping you. To me, I feel so much better knowing that I'm not going to hell, because I look at it this way. If God created an imperfect person, then why would God hold that person responsible for their actions, knowing ahead of time that they were going to be imperfect because he created them imperfect? Okay? Makes sense? All right? So whatever your beliefs are, and if that's what works for you, then go with it. Okay? And like I said, I wish other faiths could accept us the way we accept them. I have found in the witch community a lot of sweet, loving people. Okay? I mean, people are people. You'll get some people that are just, nasty, periodly, no matter what they are. Yeah, you could be a witch and be nasty, you know. But for the most part, I've found a very inviting community. So that's me. But again, I wish and hope that you have a great Witches New Year. Be safe out there if you're going any place. Some of the roads are crazy. They're crazy usually, but when you have Halloween, it's even worse. It's kind of like New Year's for your average person. You don't want to be on the roads when New Year comes around because people drink and they shouldn't be driving. So, but whatever you do, have a fun time, a blessed Witches New Year to all of you, and stay well, and we will talk again. Bye-bye. So might it be.